Hey guys, welcome to Re-Engineer You, episode number 27. I am your host, obviously, Cameron Makarchuk, Master Transformation Coach. And first of all, before we get into the interview today, I just want to thank you guys for listening or watching this, wherever you guys are. If you're watching this on reengineeryou.com, or if you're watching this on iTunes or listening to this on iTunes, wherever you are, thank you for watching and for listening. I really do appreciate it. Just a couple things before we get into it. We got a really great episode for you today with a good friend of mine, James Gaeta. James is a fat loss nutrition expert, and he's created a really great program called 4-Day Fat Loss. And it's a really neat system that you're going to get a chance to hear about more today. And he does a lot of really unique things with his fat loss clients and his nutrition coaching clients. So I'm really excited to get into the call with James here in just 1 second. Before we get into that, I just want to tell you guys, remind you guys that if you do have a second, we would really appreciate it if you could leave, just head over to iTunes, and if you're enjoying these episodes, just leave a quick review on iTunes, and that would be really appreciated. It would really help support the podcast and the show. Go to reengineeryou.com, and you can click on the big iTunes link there, and it'll pop you right over to iTunes, and you can leave that review for us there immediately. Okay, so that would be really appreciated. We have, like I said, we have James Gaeta on the show today, and what you're going to hear with James is his 4-day rotation that he uses with his fat loss clients to lose up to 20 pounds in 28 days, which is pretty impressive. What James recommends that you can put in your protein shakes that are going to help curb your hunger and help you feel satisfied for longer. And James's #1 recommendation for anyone starting a fat loss body transformation journey. Lots of really great stuff from James today, so let's head on into the interview. Hello everyone and welcome to Re-Engineer You, the #1 show for massive weight loss. I am your host, Cameron Makarchuk, Master Transformation Coach, and we got a great episode for you guys today, talking about some nutrition stuff and some diet stuff, and all related to fat loss, and probably going in a direction that that maybe you guys haven't really thought of before. So it's gonna be a lot of really great stuff. I've got on the call today with me my good friend, James Gaeta. How's it going, James?
Doing well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, good, man. Good. Well, I'm excited to have you on here and get talking to you about all the cool stuff you've been doing. So maybe just start off, tell us a little bit more about yourself and kind of what you've been up to and why everyone should think you're so awesome.
You bet. So I'm a fat loss coach, specifically with my passion in the nutrition niche. That being said, I do still get my feet wet a little bit in the fitness business as well. I've been in nutrition and fitness for the last 13 years. Got started really in retail supplement sales, kind of worked through that, and about 10 years ago got certified as a personal trainer. And from there just started coaching in the fitness realm. And about 4 years ago I got certified as a precision nutrition coach through John Berardi's amazing nutrition program there.
Cool.
And that really got me started with nutrition coaching and learning and developing really what people need to kind of fit what I consider my 3 tenets of my business and what I try and promote. That being, I want people to lose fat, but then I also want them to have more energy and come away healthier. Because essentially what I found is just because a diet promotes fat loss doesn't necessarily mean it's promoting health or it's going to help your energy. So I kind of wanted to really focus on always bringing those 3 pillars into everything I do.
Awesome. Cool, man. Cool. And so you still do personal training and stuff now?
I still do probably about 20 hours a week of personal training.
Yeah.
And then the rest of my life is mostly nutrition coaching.
Awesome. Cool. So you keep pretty busy with that nutrition coaching then?
Yeah. That's an understatement.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. What was Berardi's precision nutrition course like? That's something I'm actually thinking about taking too. So I'm curious to know what it was like.
It's absolutely amazing. The thing I love about Berardi is it's actually a lot to do with behavior and psychology, um, because ultimately, learning what to eat really isn't most people's problem. I mean, in general, we all have a really good idea of what we should be eating.
Yeah.
Where we tend to struggle is the psychology of dieting, and and really bringing that element of habit change into it. And Berardi's really just a master of implementing habit change with people to make sure you're moving at the right pace. Some people can jump in on a diet. You give them exactly what they need to do, and they'll follow it to the letter right off the bat. Other people need one thing at a time, and need to slowly work into the process. So
Yeah.
it's really just figuring out what each individual needs and what's going to work best for them.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I've seen from his stuff too. Like everything, like nutrition is so individual, and that's something that I see a lot with my clients also at my studio and online and stuff. Is like all nutrition is so individual, and it's hard to really pinpoint one exact meal plan or one exact diet that's going to be working for everyone. And yeah, they do a really good job of that there. So that's super cool.
Yeah, yeah.
So what have you been working on here the last little while? You've got some nutrition stuff coming out. I kind of want to talk about that a little bit too, because I know you're doing some kind of unique things with your own coaching and your own products that you've been doing. So maybe let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, you bet. So I just recently released my nutrition product called 4-Day Fat Loss, and essentially the gist of it is a fat loss program. But again, I really wanted to promote that realm of leaving people healthier and increasing energy. It is primarily based off of my own journey, and essentially what happened along my road is it was about 2008, and I'd been in the fitness industry and a personal trainer for, I guess, about 5 years at that point, 5 or 6 years at that point. And I just found myself way too overweight for what a personal trainer should be. And I think that happens to a lot of people in our industry because you just get so caught up in working and you forget to take care of yourself. And for me, I actually had a really enlightening experience. We went on vacation and came back, and when we actually downloaded the pictures from the vacation, I noticed I wasn't looking as svelte as I like to, and honestly, it was a little embarrassing. And that one picture really just lit a fire inside me, and at that point, I had started searching because I wanted to find something that was going to make the change as fast as possible, and it really ended up being the birth of the phase one of my 4-Day Fat Loss program, and it was a 28-day rapid fat loss solution, and I was actually able to take off 19 pounds in that first 28 days. And then actually another 6 in the 2 weeks following in a transition phase, and it was just by far the simplest and fastest way to drop body fat that I'd come across. So that's kind of where I realized when I was developing 4-Day Fat Loss, I really wanted to start with a phase one that was based on that rapid fat loss element that had worked so well for me, and I wanted to share it with others. And then, of course, what I ended up doing was I tweaked it along the way to try and make it simpler. I have a bit of a lazy bone in me, and I like things to be easy. So any chance I get, I try and simplify things and make them as easy to implement and as failure proof as possible, I guess.
Okay, cool. So what are some of those strategies then? How have you? Because I think we all kind of have I have it too. Like I have that lazy bone in me too, and I like to make things as simple and streamlined and effortless as possible. So, like, what are some of those strategies that you put into the program for to make things really simple for people to follow and implement?
Yeah. The number one thing with any rapid fat loss program is you need to create a calorie deficit. And that tends to, obviously that tends to be the hardest part, because I don't think anybody likes being in calorie deficit, because quite frankly, it's not very comfortable. So certainly anytime you're looking at rapid fat loss and trying to drop as much body fat as possible, you need to create larger calorie deficits. And of course, the problem that comes into play is you start dealing with extreme bouts of hunger, low energy, and then in many cases, extreme cravings. So it was about finding a way to really crush that. And what I actually came across was a plan that really focused on using protein shakes. Now, the reason where a protein shake diet can be brilliant is because, A, it's really easy to control calories. Put a scoop of protein in a blender and you know exactly how many calories. So as much as I'm not a fan of counting calories, there is kind of that give and take where you do have to be in a calorie deficit, so so it is about calories to a large extent. So kind of using this protein shake based diet was my way to implement a rapid fat loss with a large calorie deficit. Because the beauty about protein shakes is when you add things, and I have things added in like chia seeds and coconut oil, things that are going to help fill you up. So with the volume of water you're drinking, the volume of protein you're getting in, the volume of healthy fats and fiber, it's actually doing a really good job of keeping your hunger at bay throughout the day, even though you're in a calorie deficit. And you actually don't really feel, throughout the day, you don't feel like you're having issues with hunger pangs. And then with 4-day fat loss, essentially every 4th day, then we include a day of whole food eating. The 4th day of 4-day fat loss is really an eating day, and it's a whole food day. So there's not going to be any protein shakes involved on day 4, and there's actually no worry about calories on day 4. So day 4, we're not worried about trying to get into a caloric deficit because really our intent is to use that 4th day as an opportunity to make sure your metabolism doesn't downregulate too much during the 28 days, and you can kind of keep everything humming along. Now, typically the food in that 4th day is all going to be what we call clean food. So meats, veggies, and clean carbs like yams or rice and whatnot. And typically what we find is a pretty interesting phenomena happens in the sense that 4th day ends up feeling like a treat because you've coming off 3 days of caloric deficit and 3 days of protein shakes. Really, at that point, anything you eat is actually going to feel like a treat and just be a really nice psychological break. So what tends to happen over the 28 days is you start to really, as you eat the food on the 4th day, you start to develop a new just wiring in your brain that healthy, really clean food is actually a treat and is satisfying cravings for you. And time and time again with clients, I'm finding that they come off the 28 days and they have a new appreciation for vegetables and lean eating, and it's not as much of they don't feel like that's as much of a restrictive diet as they once did beforehand.
Yeah, cool, very cool. So basically, kind of as a big overview, it's 4 days, 3 days of just strictly protein shakes. And then the 4th day, you're adding in some whole food meals with some good carbs, some plant-based carbs and proteins and fats and stuff like that. And then they just repeat that 4-day cycle for the 28 days.
Exactly. Yeah, the 4-day cycle repeats 7 times for the 28 days.
Nice, cool. And then what do you typically have people doing after that then? Do they just kind of go back onto a regular whole foods-based diet, or what happens after that?
Yeah, so phase 2 is actually short. And I typically recommend phase 2 is about 16 days. it could be shorter, it could be a little bit longer, depending on how you wanted to look at it. And it's really just a transition phase. So it's kind of a process of mixing in. It'll be a combination of shakes and whole foods. And the intent of the transition phase is just to not jump you from protein shakes right into whole foods, because what typically happens, because the protein shakes did such a good job of creating a caloric deficit, when we eat whole foods, we tend to be a little bit higher calories. So you don't want to take that jump from caloric deficit, boom, right into high calories, because that'll create some unneeded weight gain coming off the plan. So the intent of the transition phase is just to slowly increase calories over the next 2 weeks and slowly reintroduce whole foods until we move into phase 3. And then phase 3 is basically based 100% on whole food eating, with protein shakes really just as a convenience. And if that's your best option at the time, then certainly I'm not against protein shakes. But I do recommend, for the most part, in a lifestyle plan, that people focus on whole food.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So yeah, so that first 28 days is just kind of like a slam it hard as you can and get as much weight off as you can in that 28 days, and then kind of transition to, a little bit less protein shakes, a little more whole foods, and then, transition that into your typical whole food lifestyle based diet.
Exactly. And really what I found through my experience is that rapid fat loss phase is so important for so many people, because one of the major reasons that diets tend to fail us is that the results just aren't happening fast enough. And you can be on a really good, healthy diet, and you can be on a diet that's really promoting, the slow, consistent weight loss, and that's great, and there's nothing wrong with that, and it's a very healthy way to go. The problem is, a lot of people quit that because they get 2 or 3 weeks in, and they're looking in the mirror and don't feel like much has changed. And the reality is, they may only be losing 2 to 3 pounds a month on a plan like that. So you're not going to really be able to see things happening, and it's just not exciting enough for us, and it ends up being a little demotivating, because I think, especially with diet, everybody feels like they're putting in a lot of work, no matter what the plan is. If it's a change to your normal routine, you feel like you're putting in a lot of effort, so you always have an expectation for what you should be getting out of it. And when that expectation is disappointing, that's usually when we start justifying cheat meals or stepping away from the plan and not going forward. So the rapid fat loss phase is actually something where people see the scale moving at a rapid rate. The majority of my clients, over the first 10 days, people are going to lose 8 to 12 pounds is typically what I'm seeing. So it comes off really fast. And a lot of that, granted, will be water weight and whatnot, but there's just that excitement level of really seeing things happening. And in the best case scenario, my sister just recently lost 23 pounds in the first 28 days. So on the best case scenario of the rapid fat loss, it can be a really massive change that gives you some momentum going into the transition and then going into a new lifestyle phase.
Very cool. Very cool. So do you find that after all of that's done, so they go through the 28 days, do you find you have a pretty high compliancy rate for that 28 days too, or do you see that a lot of people kind of slip on that or whatever and get kind of distracted or get I don't know, just kind of get thrown off track during that 28 days, or is it pretty high compliance because it's so kind of straightforward, cut and dry, and this is what you do?
You definitely have to be in the right mindset, and I think with any diet, you kind of have to be in that right mindset that you're going to do it. Yeah. One of the things I try and do, and I'm a big believer in, is as many tracking tools as possible. For instance, my wife and I, anytime I'm on any kind of specific diet plan, I always have a tracking calendar on my fridge, and I'm checking off days as I go along, because it gives me a really good visual for how far along I am and when it's going to be over,
Yeah.
essentially. So,
Yeah.
so that kind of thing is so important because it's so easy to get into a 28-day rapid fat loss phase, and you get like 15, 16 days in, and you feel like you've been doing it for 6 months. And and really all you need is when you have that visual of, okay, I'm past halfway for one, and I've only got 12 days left. It's a lot easier to stick with it versus when you don't have that visual. It feels like you've been doing it for 6 months, and it feels like you got another 6 months left. That's when people tend to fall off the wagon and drop the compliance rate.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
What I do actually find is, again, it goes back to how fast things are happening. Because results is actually the most motivational thing and creates the best momentum. So when the scale's dropping rapidly, it tends to really fuel the fire inside of people to keep pushing it and keep on moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Now, with that said, too, one of the things I do recommend is sometimes mistakes happen, and the number one thing you can do on any diet is if you fall off, get started right away again. Just get back on track, and don't let one cheat meal or one mistake turn into a week's worth of cheat meals and mistakes. It's really just about not beating yourself up over one cheat meal, and what are you going to do right after that, and just getting right back on that diet wagon and pushing through, and you'll still get great results. I mean, in a 28-day period, if you had even 2 or 3 slip-ups along the way, you're still going to have great results, provided the plan is geared towards fat loss.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And so when you're in that first 28 days, then do you give them kind of because you talked about calories and being in a deficit and everything, do you give them kind of an estimate of where they should be for calories in there, or?
So the program actually contains their actual formula for the protein shakes. So exactly everything that's in it, and it's kind of based on weight. There's 3 different formulas for kind of different rough weight ranges. So within that formula, you're gonna be hitting your calorie numbers just by following the recipe that's contained in the book.
Okay.
And then, like I said, in day 4, I don't worry about calories at all. Just eat high quality foods, and calories really aren't an issue on day 4.
Okay, cool, awesome. So what? Let's give some examples. So as far as the protein shakes go, maybe give an example of a couple that you because do you have some examples of you have some examples and stuff of protein shakes in the program, right? So maybe give some examples of what some of those shakes might look like, or what they can expect to be having through those days, and something like that.
Yeah. The protein shake formula is actually the same on a day-to-day basis. I'm not a terribly exciting guy, so so I keep it really simple. Basically, everything in there has a purpose for being in there. Whether it's quite often it's hormone related. For instance, every protein shake I throw cinnamon in there. Cinnamon's one of those great things that I'll often add to the protein shakes, because other than making it taste delicious, there's also some great research about cinnamon in improving insulin sensitivity. And for any of your viewers that aren't aware, improving insulin sensitivity really makes a huge impact on just how well your body absorbs nutrients and uses nutrients, which means you'll be able to get into that fat burning state, and you're going to be far less likely to be storing body fat after. So ingredients along those lines that potentially create some hormone manipulations, also have some added health benefits, some antioxidant effects. Another thing I put in all my shakes is lemon juice. Lemon juice, other than it's packed with vitamin C, also creates a bit of a alkalizing effect on your body, and there is some belief that the more alkaline we can create, the more alkaline our diet can be, the better it's going to be long run for our health. So with for the most part, most of my shakes are the same formula every day. That being said, with some clients that just wanted a change, I've recommended they add a handful of berries or something along those lines into the shakes, and that's really has a few benefits. There's plenty of antioxidants and vitamins and minerals in berries, but for the most part, they're just looking for a bit of a change of flavor.
Awesome.
Now that being said, I'm constantly asking people, how do the shakes taste? How do the shakes taste? Because I know for myself, I can drink the same thing every day, and I'm just wired that way. I'll be able to handle it. So I am very conscientious about that all the time. And so far, I haven't got any complaints about the taste of the shakes. So that's important, and especially when you're looking at a 28-day plan, you want something that tastes pretty good. So
yeah,
but yeah,
absolutely.
so as much as the formulas are there, if people end up tweaking them with minor things like a few extra calories from berries, it's not going to make a huge impact on the overall result of the plan.
Awesome. Cool. Very cool. All right. Well, kind of wrapping up here then, what I would like to get kind of the one big thing that people should kind of focus on for that will have the biggest impact on their transformation, the biggest impact on their progress. So what should people do right now that would have the biggest impact on their progress and their weight loss?
I would say the biggest thing that people can do right away is get help, and that's whether that's buying a program, whether that's hiring a coach, whether that's just being a regular on Reengineer You and paying attention to what's going on there, because the number one thing and the number one reason I have a job as a nutrition coach is accountability. And that's where so many people struggle, and it's just, you need to find a way to create accountability to the program and accountability to the plan, and we get into this this mental state of thinking we can do it ourselves, but the reality is very few people have that mindset and that wiring to be able to do a plan without anybody's help and without anyone kind of holding them to that plan. So it's and there's, like I said, there's so many ways you can create accountability, whether it's buying a diet program, whether it's hiring a coach, whether it's keeping tracking sheets like I keep on my fridge, and holding yourself accountable, or using your significant other to help hold you accountable, or other friends. But without a doubt, no matter what the plan is, you need to create accountability to it.
Awesome. Very cool. Very good advice. So where can people find out more about you, James? I'll put a link to your program here on this video here somewhere. So, but you must have do you have a blog, or what's your website, or Facebook, or anything like that? Where can people go to find out more?
Yeah. So you can find out more about my product at 4dayfatloss.com, and then my blog is actually at 4dayfatloss.com/blog. And there it's usually once a week I'm updating it with a new article, everything from recipes. I tend to write a little bit about the psychology of dieting, more so than just specifics of food, but I love recipes, love cooking, and love finding ways to make diet food taste better. So
awesome.
So yeah, that's
awesome. Very cool. Well, yeah, everybody go check out that blog, 4dayfatloss.com/blog and 4dayfatloss.com. I'll link all that stuff up here below the show. If you're watching this or listening to this on iTunes, make sure you go to reengineeryou.com to check out the video and grab those links to James's product and his blog and his Facebook and all of that good stuff, so you can connect with him and learn more about him. Any closing thoughts, James? Anything you want to close with before we wrap up this episode of Reengineer You?
The one thing I would say is just to reiterate, if you want to make a change, you want to make a body transformation, I highly recommend you create accountability and you find a way to generate fast results initially, just to really spike your motivation and get some momentum going in your corner, and then move on from there. Get that motivation and ride it out as long as you can.
Awesome. Very good. Very good advice, man. All right. Well, thank you, James, for being here on the show. Again, those links were 4dayfatloss.com and 4dayfatloss.com/blog. And again, those will all be linked up on the site at reengineeru.com. So be sure to go and check that out. As always, if you guys enjoy this episode, please click the like, tweet, +1 buttons below this video and spread the love out there. Get this out there to the world so we can help more people with their weight loss and their lifestyle transformation. That does it for this episode of Reengineer You, and I will see you guys next time.